Alright, so this one is the third one in our beginners bundle, which is called Sunshine in the pattern. I actually have two of them called Sunshine. Very original of me. But this one is the simplest of the two because this one just uses single crochet and half double crochet to create the pattern. Now, I'm using Knit Picks Dishy again from my stash. You can see why, because it's coming apart, so it seemed better to use it up than not. And I'm again using a 5mm hook to work with it. And we're going to be working in the rows. So if you're wanting to test this out, maybe you've already bought the bundle and you're just seeing if you followed the pattern correctly, or maybe you just want to make it without the effort of the pattern, then yeah, let's get this one made. Now, as with the first one, I'm going to make this smaller than what was the original pattern is, so you can adjust this to any length that you want as well. If you are adjusting, the original pattern says to chain 40. This one is just adjusted to any even number. So let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's a little bit small. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. And again, I might go up to 30 for this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. Okay, so that's the initial chain for this one. Now row 1, what we're going to do is we're going to, this is all just single crochet. I'm going to work into the bump, so if you turn the chain over, you'll see that there's a bump. You can work into one of the V's as well. Just wherever you're working into, just make sure it's the same with every single one. And you're going to start by working into the second chain from the hook. So there's my first bump, so I'm going to work into this one. And we're just working one single crochet into that chain and then into every chain along. Now it's always a little bit trickier to work into the initial chain, so if you do find that your tension's a little bit tight, then I recommend just either working into that V instead, or making your chain into, well, with a bigger hook than what you would use for the rest of your pattern. Okay, so we'll just continue working that through the end, and once you get to the end, you're going to do a chain 1 and turn. All right, so I'll meet you back. So this is what it should be looking like, and I'll meet you back for row 2. Okay, so that's the end of round 1. So I've done my chain 1 and I've turned. So that chain 1 isn't going to count as a stitch for any of these, and you'll notice if you're reading the pattern, I said, so whatever your stitch, if you want to check your stitch count, it'll be one less than what your original chain was. So in the pattern I've said for this that if you did a chain 40, you'd have 40, but it should actually be one less than that, which is why else I don't do the counting business. All right, so row 2, very simple. So we've done the chain 1, it doesn't count, so we're going to work into that very first stitch, and we're going to just do one single crochet into every stitch on your hook. Now, if this is single crochet is US terms, so it's a double crochet in UK terms, and if you need the tutorial for that, then there'll be a link to it. You can find it in playlist of stitch tutorials. But we're just going to do one to the very end, and then row 3 is going to be a repeat of this one as well. So just continue, so do row 2, then do a third one, exactly the same as this one, and then I will meet you back here for row 4, because row 4 gets a little bit different. Okay, so So just continue that all the way along to the very end, 1 single crochet into every stitch. Just watch it when you get to the end that you do work into that last one. So we are working on the yarn hand side of the stitch, so you will want to make sure that you get that last one. If you need to, put a stitch marker in there so that you don't drop it, because working in single crochet in a row is very easy to lose that last stitch, which is why I always prefer to start with the chain 1, because chain 1 is even easier to miss. Okay, so do that and I'll meet you back here for row 4. Okay, so we're on round 4. Now don't stress if it's starting to curl like this, you can easily just pull it out. So we've got a chain 1 already. So what we're going to do is 1/2 double crochet into that first stitch. So that chain 1 isn't counting, but this 1/2 double crochet is. All right, so then the repeat part, we're going to do a chain 1. We're going to skip that next stitch, and then we're going to work 1/2 double crochet into the one after. Okay, so then just keep repeating that. Chain 1, skip 1, 1/2 double crochet into this. And again, if you're not sure on a 1/2 double crochet, then there'll be a link to the tutorial for that. So chain 1, skip 1, 1/2 double crochet. Okay, we're just going to continue that all the way across. So you can see we're ending up with little windows that are 1/2 double crochets in between each one. And you should, if you've done your count right, you'll end up with, notice that I haven't counted anything. I trust, it might not be the smartest thing, but I trust that I count right the original train and then catch them all. But there are tricks, so you don't have to unravel if you did mess it up, because you can just either skip one or just do an extra chain 1, because it'll all even out in the border and no one is going to notice. Okay, or if you're really fussy. Okay, so just let me just say, so we're going to chain 1. So I've got the right stitch count. Now if you found yourself with 3 here instead of 2, then you have what I would probably do, 2 options. You could skip 2 and then work in the last one. It'll squish up. Or you could skip 1 and then do another chain 1 and then work, instead of skipping 1 for the last one, you can just work straight into that stitch. But I've managed to get this right. Okay, so you can chain 1 and then turn. Okay, so that's what it should look like. Let me get that out of the way at the end of row 4. Okay, so row 5. So we've already done our chain 1 and we've turned. So what we're going to do with this one is it's just single crochet. So we're going to work into the stitch first. So 1 single crochet into the stitch and then 1 single crochet into the chain space. Okay, and we're just going to keep doing that all the way across. So single crochet into the stitch, single crochet into the chain space, single crochet into the stitch, single crochet into the chain space. All right, so we're just going to do that all the way across, and then the pattern repeat is then from row 2 to this row 5. Okay, so once you've done this row, you'll do another 2 rows of just all single crochet with that chain 1 at the beginning, and then you'll do row 4, which is the 1/2 double crochet row, and then this row. Okay, so you'll keep repeating all of this, so you'll just end up with 3 rows of single crochet essentially, and then 1 of 1/2 double crochet with the skip 1. Okay, so I'll work it all to the end. Oh, it's catching. So I can show you what it looks like. Now the original pattern it says 37 rows. Just go until it looks square if you're adjusting it, which is what I've done. And I don't tend to count them all. Oop. Now if it's too hard to find the stitch, you can always just do 2 single crochets into the chain space as well. It's more important to keep the stitch count than it is about where you get the actual stitch. Okay, so you can see that's curling up. It will eventually stop doing that, so don't stress on that either. But that's what it looks like at the end of row 5. So again, you're just going to repeat rows 2 to 5. So you've got another 2 rows of single crochet, then this row, and then single crochet. Okay, so I'll meet you back here at the end to add the border. Okay, so once you get to this point where the washcloth is relatively even and square, I could potentially have added more rows. This one's ended up 18.5 by 17, so I could add more. It'll stretch out a little bit, so it's close. But make sure you finish, so you keep repeating rows 2 to 5, but finish on a row 3 repeat so that you've got so it looks the same, the top and the bottom essentially. So now we're just going to add a simple border, and you might decide that you don't want to add a border. This one's relatively square with nice neat edges, but we're just adding a basic one, so you can also dress it up as well. So we're just going to start with, we'll work down the side first. You can begin with a chain 1. You don't have to do the chain 1 if you don't want to, but we're just going to work evenly down the side. So we're working around the posts of the stitches, just relatively even. You can count them if you want. I'm just going where my hook pretty much wants to go. That one's probably a bit far out, but you'll get a rhythm. Just evenly spaced. If you do too many, it's going to, so if you do them too closely together, it is going to end up ruffling, and if you do them stitches too far apart, then it is going to end up curling up. So just space them comfortably, and if you feel that they're getting too much of one or the other, then just frog it back a bit and do some more. I don't like to put how many stitch counts. If you're adding a specific border, then you might want to aim for the right number of so this will be your foundation. So if you need a particular combination of numbers, so like you might need 3 plus 2, like multiples of 3 and add 2, so just make sure you figure that out. But we're aiming for, it's roughly 1 every row, or not quite every row, so every row and a half is probably comfortable working down this. You can see that's sitting nice and flat. Then when you get to the corner stitch, you want to do a single crochet, chain 1. You can chain 2 if you prefer to have more space, and then single crochet. Okay, and then you've got the next side, which is relatively easy. You're just doing 1 into each stitch. Working on the bottom where the chain is going to be a little bit more difficult because it's sometimes a bit tighter for inserting your hook. Okay, so you're just going to continue that all the way around, and then I'll come back and show you round 2. So essentially working evenly. If you want a guide, you can always count how many stitches are in the row, and you can make that similar number there. I don't like to count, so I'm not going to. Just make sure in the corner, each corner, you're doing a single crochet, chain 1 or chain 2, and single crochet. If you're using UK terms, that's a double crochet with a chain 1 or chain 2, and then another double crochet. Okay, so you can see that's ending up a lot neater, which is why I do like to add the border. Okay, so I'll come back at the end of round 1 and show you round 2. Okay, round 2. Now when I gave the instructions for round 1, I was assuming I was doing a plain border, but apparently I'm not. So if you're watching this ahead of time and being a good person, not like me, then you would have aimed for an odd number down the side. I decided to just leave it as it was. So if I need to fudge, then you'll be fudging with me. So if you are watching this first, then make sure round 1 you are aiming for an odd number. So that's from the corner to the corner. You need an odd number of stitches. But I'm just going to wing it, and if I have to fudge it, then I fudge it. So round 2. So we're going to start with a chain 1. That's not going to count as a stitch, and we're going to do 1/2 double crochet. Okay, then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to skip 1, and we're going to do a 1/2 double crochet in that next stitch. And we're just going to repeat that. So we're going to, let me put my hands in the middle. We're going to chain 1, skip 1, 1/2 double crochet in the next one. Okay, chain 1, skip 1, 1/2 double crochet in the next one. So we're going to aim to stop 1 stitch out. Now if we end up with a number that doesn't work for that, then we will do something different. So let's see where we go. And I didn't even make sure that both sides had the same number. So I am all about making the crochet as stress-free as possible. Now if having things uneven is stressful for you, then you're going to want to actually count and check it all properly. I am not one that is going to enforce that. Okay, so let's see, we're getting near to the edge, so I'm just going to take stock of where I am. So I've done a chain 1. Okay, so this one I am going to do, I think it's worked out okay. So I'm going to do 1/2 double crochet into that one, and then I'm going to chain 1. Okay, so then in the corner chain 1 space, because of the spacing and the number, I think it's worked out the way it's supposed to, so that was lucky. So in this corner space, I'm going to do 1/2 double crochet, chain 1, and I'm going to do that 3 times. Okay, so into that chain 1 space we've got 3. Okay, then I'm going to chain 1 again. So I'm supposed to have finished that. So we're going to skip that first one, and then we're going to do the same as we did on the side, and we're just going to 1/2 double crochet. So skip that first stitch, chain 1, we're in that one, chain 1 again, skip 1 into the next stitch. Okay, chain 1, skip 1 into the next stitch. All right, so you're just going to keep repeating that all the way down. Now I'm assuming that this is going to work out as intended. So I'll just do this one side. So if you do find that you're a little bit far out, then you can do a 1/2 double crochet into the last stitch, or you can opt to skip 2 stitches and then work into the corner. So entirely up to you, depends on the spacing and how you want it to look. And then just make sure that when you're doing the corner, you're putting the 3. So you got 1/2 double crochet, chain 1 3 times in that corner, and you're going to do that for every corner and every side. Okay, so I'll just see where this one ends up. Again, that looks fine. So we're working into that second last stitch, so we're not working into that one. That will work into the chain space, so that worked out nicely and as it should. Okay, so if you're using UK terms, then you're doing a 1/2 treble. So in that corner, we're going to do a 1/2 double crochet, chain 1 3 times. Okay, and then we're going to resume back down the side. So continue doing that. So you can see it's now just reflecting what the inside looks, but it's on the outer edge as well. So keep doing that until you get back to that first stitch, and then I'll come back and I'll show you, because there's a round 3. So I got lucky, and mine, I did end up with the right stitch numbers, stitch counts, at least even. I haven't counted to make sure they're all the same. Okay, so this is the final round. So what we're going to do in this one is we're doing single crochet again. So we're doing 1 single crochet into each of the 1/2 double crochets and into the chain space. Okay, so essentially one in 1 single crochet into each stitch and each chain space down to the corner, and then I'll show you what we're doing in the corner. Now if you're using UK terms, then that is a double crochet into each half treble and each chain space. Okay, and we're working the round, so if you hadn't figured it out, you're working into the yarn hand side of the stitch. You'll see the little opening there instead of the hook hand. Okay, so you can see that's what we're looking at. I just want to work to the corner because then all the corners and all the sides are the same after that. And if you do enjoy making washcloths, then don't forget that I have a full library of them. Okay, so we're at the corner. Okay, so that middle, so we've worked to the first chain space. So now in this middle half double crochet, so you can see we've got the 3 there in the corner, and I've worked into that stitch and into the chain space. So now this stitch here is our corner stitch. So in that one, we're going to do a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. Okay, and that just gets us around the corner. And then we've got the chain space. We're going to do a single crochet in there, and then we've got the stitch. And then we're just going to continue down the side again, exactly the same as we've just done, with 1 single crochet in the chain space and 1 in the half double crochet. Okay, so just keep repeating that. All you're doing is thickening that up, making it look pretty. And just don't forget that middle half double crochet on the corner is where you're going to put your corner stitch, which is single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. Okay, so keep doing that and I'll meet you back at the end. We'll see the finished result. All right, so when you get back to where you started, you can just slip stitch into the top of that first one and fasten off. Okay, and then we're going to weave in the ends. So there you go. I'm actually quite happy that I added that border to the original design. So entirely up to you if you do that border or a different one. Now if you want to use this video as a tool to help you learn to read patterns, then I encourage you to get the beginner's bundle. It's discounted quite heavily by buying the 5 together, and they're all ones that are beginner friendly. And yeah, I write my patterns a lot differently to the traditional way, so you'll find it, I'm used to writing procedures for people, so you'll find them probably a little bit easier to follow and read, which then makes it easier to help decipher the other ones. If you love washcloths, you love learning something new every month, then you want to check out my Hooked on Crochet Club. And of course, because we have these all in the library, so you'll get access to these plus all the existing ones. So I'm on series 6 at the time of filming this, so there's a lot of washcloths in there and other projects as well, plus all the new ones that come along, so you've got access to that if you join the Hooked on Crochet Club. But yeah, that's it. And don't forget to subscribe. I've got a new one coming out every week. Next week will be number 4 in this beginner's bundle. So yeah, it's a weekend project for you. Alrighty, thanks for joining me.